It's finally here. The Battlefield Hardline Beta has dropped for all platforms, and I've waited for a couple of hours until I finally got a little bit of game time in so I can bring you my accurate representation of my views on the initial Battlefield Hardline Beta. Now, I will be bringing you another video about my afterthoughts of the Battlefield Hardline Beta once I've put in many more hours, so make sure you're subscribed for that. But right now, here's my initial thoughts of the Battlefield Hardline Beta. So we're going to kick off with the positive things. I don't like to start a video with the negative things. So, positive things. Game modes. They're much more varied than what Battlefield 4's are. Battlefield 4's are much more traditional as well. We've got Conquest and Rush and all the Team Deathmatch ones and Domination. They're very traditional. With Hardline, I would say that I've not really seen these sorts of game modes in first-person shooters before. We have Heist to play in the beta, which is kind of explained in the title. You have the robbers, or whatever you want to call them, the thieves, who have to break into the bank vault, steal the money, and take it to the extraction point, and then you have the police force, who are trying to stop them from doing that. And then you have Hotwire, which is kind of similar to Conquest, but it varies it up a little bit as the actual capture points are cars, and you can capture the checkpoint by being in the car and driving it quickly. The key word there is quickly. If you just sit in the car, you don't own that checkpoint, you have to drive it quickly, which is fantastic because, of course, it means that you can't just camp outside the map. I found that quite a lot of these game modes seem to be better when playing as a squad or using teamwork, although I did find that Heist did tailor very nicely to any solo players out there, even if you're not communicating with your team. We also do have traditional Conquest Large, and I did find that to be interesting on the Dust Bowl map, and that's something I'm going to come on to right now. The maps are another thing that I would actually compliment in this initial thoughts video. My favourite of the three that we've seen out of Downtown, Dust Bowl and Bank Job, I would have to say is Bank Job. I've probably spent the most amount of time on there. It really does cater to all of the weapon classes. You've got the assault rifles, which are pretty decent at medium to short range, and it also caters to the SMGs and the shotguns, which are insane at short range. I would say it's not entirely great for snipers, but I don't do a lot of that myself, so I'm not entirely in the right position to comment on sniping and how well it caters to that. Dust Bowl didn't strike a chord with me to start with, but after playing it quite a bit more on the Conquest, it did kind of win me over. I'd really like the map event where the sandstorm comes in, and the effects on that are actually pretty cool. Unlike Gulf of Oman, where it rolls in after 5 minutes and you spend the majority of the round with the sandstorm, this time it comes in a lot later and doesn't stay for that long. It only stays for a couple of minutes, and it has a much more drastic effect on how the game plays out. You can literally see probably about 10, 15, 20 meters in front of you because of the depth of field effect that occurs, and makes it much more difficult to see further into the distance. It allows you to move from point to point in between the roads and over the roads and through the houses. It allows you to do that without being seen from some of the more open areas such as the sniper checkpoints. This brings me on to something that is kind of good and kind of a little bit concerning, and that's the pace at which this game goes at. It is a lot quicker than Battlefield 4. It did take me about an hour or two to actually get used to Battlefield Hardline. I was dying a lot, and that is just because the game modes are so fast paced that it's too quick for my brain to keep up with. I don't play a lot of Counter-Strike or Call of Duty, but I would definitely say that people who play them games are going to have a better advantage than what people who have played Battlefield in the past have, especially on the close quarters game modes like Heist. And now I'm going to get into some of the negative things that kind of concern me a little bit about Hardline, but they're not all that bad. Now, one of them is the graphics and performance. Now, if you're a PC gamer like me, then you're probably a bit of a nerd about how games look and run. Now, my system is a GTX 980 with an AMD FX 8350, which to most people is probably alien language, but if you know what it means, good. So, of course, my system is pretty beefy, and I would expect it to run pretty well, and it does. It runs at above 60 frames per second, all the time, and that's all that matters to me. But on a couple of occasions there was a little bit of micro stuttering, and that can put off your aim. and that is kind of an issue. However, I'm not entirely too worried, because I think the reason for this is that because it's just a beta and Nvidia don't have all of the drivers out for it yet, and there's also a little bit more of optimization to do. And I have heard reports from friends who play on the PS4 that it doesn't run as smoothly as what Battlefield 4 does on the PS4, but I imagine that by the time the final release comes around, it will be much better optimized than what it is in the beta. That brings me on to graphics. I would say that it is kind of a little bit of a step down from what Battlefield 4 is. It's not as impressive. The particle effects, the textures, it all looks a little bit washed out and a little bit cartoony. I'm not quite sure if that's the art style that they've gone for, because that's something else that I should come on to. It's that this game doesn't take itself seriously at all, and that's a positive thing. That's a good thing. But anyhow, if you're looking for a pretty Battlefield game, this one is probably not going to be the one for you at this moment in time. They probably might patch it and do some more work with it in the final release, but at the minute, it's not looking at the most prettiest game. My other concern is the damage model and the time to kill and how them two work together. Now, I'm pretty sure that the damage model hasn't changed since Battlefield 4, at least that's what I've heard. But it definitely feels like the time to kill is a lot quicker. Now, if you don't know what the time to kill is, it's the amount of time that between you when you first see an enemy, when you first shoot, and when you actually die. And in Battlefield 4, there is a 5 bullet time to kill, so you take 5 bullets and then you're down, or 4 if you get 1 headshot, because a headshot just doubles the damage. In Battlefield Hardline, I'm pretty sure that it's changed, or it definitely feels like it. I definitely felt like I was being killed with less bullets and a lot more frequently than what I was in Battlefield 4. And now, this could be down to the rate of fire that a lot of the weapons have. A lot of the weapons in Battlefield Hardline have a very high rate of fire, which means that you're going to be pumping out more bullets at a faster rate and doing more damage quicker. But that's pretty much all the concerns I have. So far, I'm enjoying the beta. To me, that's what matters. If I'm having fun in a video game, I'm happy. So let me know down in the comments below. Have you played the beta? Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are. If you have any concerns, compliments, whatever, get down in the comments and talk about it. Of course, I will be having Battlefield Hardline content coming to my channel every day this week, so make sure you're subscribed, like, and I'll see you in the next video.